Hey guys, this is Mrs. Scherenberg. This is part 2 of our chapter 13 and 14 lecture. Um, and this is what it looks like when you print out the full packet. This one right here, chapter 13, um, statement of cash flows, indirect method. So I want you to use this on problem 13.02a. Also, be sure and review problem 13.02b, the PDF, the answer to that, and also watch the Show Me How videos. You might need all three. But what I want to say here is the statement of cash flows looks at the cash coming into the business, inflows, and cash going out, expenses, outflows. So the statement of cash flows has the operating, investing, and financing parts. The indirect method and the direct method is for the operating part only. The other two parts are the same for both. Okay, so always remember on this one, you're going to start with the net income. So when you go to make your statement of cash flows, start with your net income. Then I believe there's only one thing you have to add back for the next part, and that's the depreciation. And then step 3 here, this is where it gets a little tricky. Add or subtract depending on what's going on. If there is a decrease in a current asset, such as AR, you're going to add that decrease back. Okay, so on and so forth. If there's an increase in a current liability, AP, income tax payable, you're going to add that back. You're going to subtract any increases in current assets. So I think inventory goes up in this problem. So if inventory goes up from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, you're going to subtract that amount, okay? Decreases in current liabilities, you're going to subtract that amount. So use this to help you. Again, watch the Show Me How videos for this problem, and use this piece of paper and look at the answers to the Set B problems. So also, the statement of cash flows direct method here is a nice key on what's required of that. This is the one where you calculate your cash received from customers, you deduct cash payments for merchandise, deduct cash payments for operating, so on and so forth. So let's take a look at this problem and see how far we can do some of it. This one goes directly with 13.4a, 13.4a, chapter 13 homework, one of the big problems. So we have a comparative balance sheet here. And again, there are Show Me How videos, so be sure and take a look at that. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay. So when you take a look at this cash here, you're like, what's the difference from the beginning of the year to the end of the year? Well, the difference is $36,000. Okay, we need to prove that, reconcile it, whatever word you want to use. The accounts receivable has increased 19,400. So customers have paid us less money, if you will. Or we've had a lot more sales and so on and so forth. So then we have some other types of things here. There's a couple other things I want to point out. Accounts payable has increased 23,400. The accrued expenses payable, there's a difference there of 7,400. The dividends payable plus 2,400. The common stock $2 par, looks like they sold some of that. That was a plus 24,000, and then the paid in capital went up by 216,000. So these two numbers together is going to be our common stock number that we're going to use. Okay. Here's some other additional data. Equipment and land were acquired for cash. So there's a cash payment in there, equipment and land, not operating activities, but what section is that in? There were no disposals of equipment. Good to know. Going back to A, this would be in the investing part of the statement of cash flows. And if we go up and look at the land and the equipment, let's see what it was at the beginning of the year and what it was at the end of the year. Land went up from 0 to 520. That was a cash payment. Equipment went up, looks like $200,000. Okay, so they paid this. They're saying that they made a cash payment here, $520,000 on land, and equipment they made a $200,000 cash payment. That's going to go under the investment activities. The investments were sold for $176,000 in cash. That is also under investing. It's going to be a plus. The common stock was issued for cash. That's going to be under the financing part. Okay. And a couple different things to note here. We had the 24,000 and the 216,000, and that equals 240,000. Okay. Okay. Also, there was a $28,000 debit to retained earnings for cash dividends declared. So making a couple calculations here, we had the 28,000 plus the 6,400 minus the 8,800. Or if you want to think of it this way, 28,000 minus 2,400 equals 25,600. That's the number we're going to use. And on that 6,400, that came, point that out here in a minute. Okay. Let's go on here. And also they give us a check figure, which is really helpful. So there's a few more computations that we need to make. Computations. And these are operational. So sales 5,980,000. This is current year. There was an increase in accounts receivable. So our customers paid us a little less. That's why we need to subtract it. And so this is a number that needs to be used when you put this into the computer. And this number represents cash received from customers. Okay, that's one computation, and you're going to be using that number, 5,960,600. Then cost of goods sold. That number is 2,452,000. There was an increase in inventories. Increase in inventory was 28,200. And there was an increase in accounts payable. We're going to subtract that amount. And so this number represents, let me give you the number, 2,456,800. This was a cash payment for merchandise. And that's how we calculate it. You had to start with cost of goods sold, any increase in inventory added, and then we subtracted out the increase in AP because that was money that less money that we paid our customers, if you will. So you'll use this number as well. And then operating expenses. Okay, other than depreciation. So we need to subtract out this will be a big minus when we get over here. And then we did have a decrease in accrued expenses payable. 7,400. We paid more expenses. Okay. So this total, 3,107,400. This number is cash payments for operating expenses. And then finally, we had cash payments for taxes. You'll need this number, 102,800. So you're gonna, once you take this information to Cengage, you're gonna complete these problems. And this is some of the information that you'll use. So this first number we calculated was cash received from customers. Then we have cash payments for merchandise, that's a minus. Cash payments for our operating expenses, that's a minus. Cash payment for taxes is a minus. So take this information, take a look at the Show Me How, watch the video, look at the answers to set B problems. All that should help you with this problem.